And we are going to get started at 6:16. Welcome to Community Planners Committee. I'm Victoria Labruzzo. I'm the chair. And we are going to jump right in and go into roll call. So when I call your area, please give me your name and let me know if you're here. Those that are online, we need to let Kevin in. Please also unmute yourself and let me know you're here. And if everyone can talk a little louder tonight, I'm having an ear problem. I can't hear very well after a respiratory issue. Hopefully it's coming back. But everybody use your outside voices with me. Okay, let's go ahead with Barrio Logan. Carmel Mountain Ranch. Carmel Valley.
Jumping in here.
Encanto. Yeah, she's not. Oh, no, it's, yeah, in Choice Valley. City Heights.
Marcellus Henderson is here.
Thank you. Claremont. College area.
Here, Yvonne Jones.
Thank you, Yvonne. Del Mar Mesa. Okay. Eastern area. Greater Golden Hill.
Here, David Swearens.
Kearney Mesa. Kensington Talmadge.
Here, David Modi.
La Jolla.
Here, Kathleen Yellow.
Linda Vista.
Here, Jonas Bimshaw, alternate.
Can you tell us last name?
BINSHAS.
Okay, thank you, Jonas. Midway. Mira Mesa.
Bo Gibbons from Air Mesa.
Mission Beach. Mission Valley. Navajo.
Kevin Sullivan, Navajo.
Thank you, Kevin. Normal Heights.
Paul Coogan.
North Park.
Roger McClish.
Ocean Beach. Old Town. Otay Mesa. Otay Mesa Nestor. Peninsula.
Eric Law.
Rancho Bernardo.
Vicky Touchstone.
Rancho Penasquitos.
John Becker, Rancho Penasquitos.
John. San Pasquale Hodges. San Ysidro.
Dylan Espinosa, San Ysidro, alternate.
Scripps Ranch is here. Victoria Labruzzo. Sarah Mesa. Skyline Paradise Hills.
Here, Don Houston.
Thank you, Don. Southeastern. Tierra Santa. Torrey Hills. Torrey Pines.
Adam Smith, alternate.
Thank you, Adam Smith. University.
Darren Esposito, alternate on Zoom.
Thank you, Darren. Uptown.
Scott Case, alternate.
Thank you, Scott.
Did we get downtown?
Downtown.
Here.
Thank you, Gary. Sorry, I jumped over you there. All right, did I miss anyone else?
Looks like somebody responded.
I count 21.
I've got 21.
At 12.
Oh, okay. Yes. College, no.
Yeah,
College. Okay, so, okay, we're good. Okay. All right, we've got 21, so we have quorum. So thank you very much. Next thing I'm going to do is a modification to the agenda. I would like to add an information item. We have Kate Callan here from the OB RAG that would like to give us a community comment, and wanted to give her a few more minutes than the 3 minutes. So I'm going to add her right after non-agenda public comment, actually right after approval of the May meeting minutes. So I'll be adding her at the 6:45-ish mark there for between item 3 and item 4. Is everybody okay with that? Do I need to call?
Without objection.
Without objection, yes. There's no objections? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, David. All right, having said that, we are gonna roll right into non-agenda public comment. So if you have a non-agenda public comment tonight, I'm gonna give you a total of 3 minutes. And if you do, if you'll please start coming up here. If you are online and would like to do non-agenda public comment, I've got you, Becky Rapp, and while others are getting started here, Becky, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you online. So if you'll go ahead and unmute, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Becky Rapp, and tonight I wanted to share with you something that I shared with the city council this week. Regarding the permitting of marijuana pot shops. Years ago in my community of Rancho Bernardo, we were engaged extensively in the public process for the original marijuana application for a building in our community. Residents attended hearings, they submitted written comments, voiced strong concerns about placing a pot shop in our neighborhood. But what has happened since that approval has basically been invisible to the public. That original permit has now changed hands multiple times. The operator that the community initially evaluated is no longer the operator today. Ownership has shifted through acquisitions and corporate transactions, and now the business is associated with a brand called the Cake House. Residents were never notified of these changes. There were no public hearings, no neighborhood notices, and no requirement for the city to explain who ultimately controls these permits. The community was fully engaged in the original decision, but has been in the dark for years, almost 7 years. That raises a transparency question. If public input is required to approve a pot shop, why is there no transparency when the same permit is sold or transferred to an entirely different company multiple times? Now, we may not be able to have any say in that company or the change of ownership, but I think that it is important that the city at least notify us that the company has been sold and the permit has been sold. The operator behind a permit is not a minor detail. So this speaks to accountability, businesses, the business practice and enforcement history of the new permit holder. It also raises concerns about branding and public perception. A name like the Cake House does not communicate to the public that this business will be selling highly intoxicating products. Rather, the message being sent is that RB now has a new bakery in town. This is just unacceptable, and communities deserve to know who is operating in their neighborhoods, not just at the moment of approval, but throughout the entire life of a permit. I just wanted to bring this to your attention and encourage you to speak to city representatives regarding this concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Okay, Yvonne.
I'm Yvonne. I'm from the college area community planning group. However, tonight I have been asked by Encanto Choice Valley Planning Group to speak on their behalf. On July 7th at the city council meeting, afternoon session, approximately 2 o'clock, footnote 7 is coming up for a vote. This affects only, and again, I specifically say only an underline Choice Valley. It does not affect any of the other planning groups here. When it went into effect in 2019, 2020, the person who pushed it through was Monica Montgomery Stepp and her chief of staff, Henry Foster. So what it does, basically, if you want to go back to the old terms, is it segregates, it redlines, and it takes away from that community what was in their community plan update. Property that had been selected and supposedly set aside to be used for parkland for that area. And what this footnote 7 did was it basically took away their residential zoning and allowed developers and investors to come in. Now, they've already gone through the clobber, 2 appeals, this is the 2nd appeal for the radio towers. They need our support. They need people to seek time. They are asking for all of you to support them, to stand by their son and be there on July 7th for that city council meeting at 2:00. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. All right, next.
That would be Paul.
Okay, Paul,
Yes.
did you want to give your,
About the data? Sure, okay, so. Since you have the letter up, let's go ahead and scroll down to page 4. So this is Normal Heights response to the SB 79 overlay. And we decided to align ourselves with Kental so that the zoning would be the same on both sides of the Interstate 15. So let's go ahead and scroll down to the main map there. This is parcel by parcel has been color coded. So the concentric circles are the tier 2 and tier 3 SB 79 circles at the 1/4 and half mile. So green is the outer ring, and then the purple is the inner ring. Now we have to keep in mind that there's also a complete communities housing solution overlay that increases the far beyond, no pun intended, the SB 79. So SB 79 would decree about a 2.5 to 3 far in the inner circle, but complete communities will give you an 8, a 6 to an 8. So the darker version of those colors is the complete communities plus SB 79. Thus, within the combination of SB 79 plus complete communities, we have excessive FAR, so we can opt for a 200% increase in FAR for SB 79, which takes us to a 6, but we're still under the 8 that complete communities decrease. So there's no net decrease for developers. We then take that credit of going 200% within the complete communities areas, and we use that to bring down the green areas by 50% as per SB 79. So we're doing a little trading of FAR here. And what ends up happening is it kind of does a net where our RM1 and RS1 neighborhoods remain at 2.5, while the complete communities areas stay at 6 to 8. So there's basically no change for Normal Heights. So Normal Heights is the upper left quadrant with El Cajon going through the middle, east-west, and then the I-15 headed north-south. The effects for City Heights down in the lower portion, very minimal effect either way, so they haven't written any letters. And then the lower right quadrant is completely removed because that is the a low resource area and is thus held back. There's also a small area of Kensington or Talmadge that's a very high fire hazard zone along where you see Fairmont Avenue cutting in. But
okay, yeah, time on that.
I'll let David address that.
And then
Marlon, can you bring up my slide, please?
since he gets that up, I'll give you your 3-minute update. And this is part of, we had Mid-Cities Communities Plan update going on, which involves 4 different CPGs, and we did have an ad hoc committee and did get, we're able to move forward with getting a little bit more CPG representation through the process, so. And yours is ready to go, okay. thank you.
So I'm just gonna explain a little bit further with numbers. The inner purple blue was the 3, and we took part of it up, doubled it from 3 to 6, and we took the other part under the north down from 3 to 1.5. And this other part that's just north of Elkhorn Boulevard is at 2.5, not down below, was at 2.5 and raised it up to 5. And the area up above, the biggest area, we were able to take that down to 1.25. And if, do you have the other slide ready? We can go to the other slide. So how did this actually turn out as actual zoning? So RM 411 has a FAR of 7.2. We determined that the FAR is probably the most concrete definer of what you have to meet. If you've met the FAR, you've met the height and you've met the density requirements. So RM 411 has a FAR of 7.2. So we upzoned that to 7.2, which gives us actually more FAR than SB 79 allows us to take credit for. But it does get us into the range of what complete communities mandates. We went with CC 39 along the boulevard because that's what North Park had done for their Elkhorn Boulevard zoning, though in reality, we could upzone that further to comply with complete communities. It shows that actually, we're actually going higher density further from the center of the town, of the city. North of that first block, where we have the single-family neighborhood, we wanted to preserve our single-family zoning as much as we could. The only thing that really remains is the setbacks, but we propose that they create an overlay of the 1.25 and 1.50 FAR rather than zoning it to something else, because that yellow area is the potential Kensington Park Historic District, which was first identified 30 years ago and is coming before the State Historic Board at the end of this year. Am I within time? Yes.
Yep, you're still good. You
So-
got 1 more minute.
So this is just to let you know what we've done to accommodate SB 79.
Yes, do you want
Can I
public
ask a question,
comment?
even though it's not agenda public comment? Bill back? Is the city agree? Are they gonna give you your overlay?
They have not responded.
Oh, evil, yes. Okay.
That's just a plan.
Receipt has been acknowledged.
We sent the letter, 3 weeks ago, so we have no response yet.
Okay, is there any other open comment? Non-agenda.
Good. Real quick, pencil ahead, the NAPOR Old Town Campus Revitalization Program Manager in to brief, all assembled last week. Produced about an hour worth of commentary, that was reported. The briefing that he provided was furnished to me today. We'll get that posted, for those of you who are interested. The Navy expects to do public engagement next year when the environmental impact statement, the NEPA EIS, comes back around for the next cycle of comments.
All right, thank you, Eric. Okay, any other non-agenda public comments?
I have one, and if I can do a screen share, I can show the
Okay.
illustration.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Okay, let's see. So the website for streets.sandiego .gov, I'm not seeing the on there. Okay. So this is streets.sandiego usually shows all of the planned and current CIP projects, whether they're funded or unfunded, for streets, along with the street condition index. The condition index is still there, but all of the projects that are not currently in progress have been removed from the map. And to evidence that, I did take a snapshot of the street that I was working diligently to get added onto the list. It finally did get onto the list. In fact, it got listed as funded for next year, and now it's been removed. So that resource is now suspect, and I'll be sending a request for public records to obtain the old data, and I'll be raising it with D9 to have the information updated as quickly as possible.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Paul. Maybe that's something you can ask for us, or get an update on the street. Okay. All right, yes, ma'am, yes, come on up here so that the Zoom folks can see you as well.
Made it just in time, thank you. I've seen you all, past few months, but haven't as of late. La Jolla Town Council will be having on their August 13th, President Mary Soriano of La Jolla Town Council. On August 13th, La Jolla Town Council will have the La Jolla Fire Safe Council, presenting a homeowner from La Jolla Farms who went through the journey of getting her home into a defensible space. Also with the new mandatory of Zone 0. As well as Windermere Association will be sharing their wildfire emergency plan, which will be incorporated into a template that a former captain of the fire of Chula Vista captain who assisted with La Jolla with their CWPP manual that will incorporate the evacuation, the fire safety Zone 0 into that template. But we'll also be inviting commissioners that are running for the wildfire insurance, you know, for the because they're I think up for election. That would be your California Department of Insurance commissioners. I think there's 2 candidates, so we're going to invite them also because one of the biggest questions that is going around is wildfire insurance coverage. One of the homeowners who will be speaking, who went through the journey of securing her home as defensible space, her insurance got canceled. And so she invited the her insurance broker to one of the home risk assessments that we had put together last year. And soon after her proactiveness with the La Jolla Fire Safe Council, her insurance was reestablished. So this is something really important, I think, as the commissioner of the California of Insurance, that we are able to speak to them and let it be known how we're having enough of a hard time on all the mandatories that are being placed on us, but also I think just getting coverage for insurance because all of San Diego is under the most of San Diego is under the severe fire hazard zone. So that's August 13th, 6 p.m. at the La Jolla Recreation Center. Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
All right, last call. We're gonna move on then to the agenda items where we have amended and we're gonna, oh, sorry, minutes. Thank you, David, keeping me on my toes. You were given the draft meeting minutes. So if I could have a motion or.
I'll make a motion and a comment.
Okay.
And I want to thank Marlon for doing the work and the research to find out just how long Laura Rebout served at CPC, which you will see in the minutes, which was 23 years, and I moved the minutes.
Okay. Yes. For that mention, that 23, that's a long time. So.
I'll second the
thank you.
minutes.
Who was that?
Navajo, second the minutes.
Thank you, Navajo. All right, let's roll really quickly here on the approval of the minutes. Carmel Valley,
Approved.
City Heights, Marcellus,
I think he was absent last week.
he's there, but I'll skip him and come back. And College area,
Yes.
downtown,
Yes.
Greater Golden Hill,
Yes.
Kensington Talmadge,
Yes.
La Jolla,
Yes.
Linda Vista,
I was absent, so abstain.
abstain, thank you. Mira Mesa,
Approved.
Navajo,
Approved.
Normal Heights,
Approved.
North Park.
Aye.
Pacific, oh, yeah, did Pacific Beach join us?
Hello, yes, my name is Charlie Nieto. I'm serving as an alt for Pacific Beach Planning Group tonight.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Did you get anything in? All right, there, and,
Yes or no from?
yeah, did I get a yes or no on the minutes?
That is a yes.
Yes, okay. Peninsula,
Yes.
Rancho Bernardo,
Yes.
Penasquitos,
Yes.
San Ysidro. Abstain, not here. Thank you. Scripps Ranch, yes. Skyline
Yes.
and Torrey Pines.
Abstain. I was not there.
Okay. University
Yes.
and Uptown.
Yes.
Okay, did I miss anybody?
Sorry, Victoria. This is City Heights. I will abstain. I was absent as well.
Okay, thank you, Marcellus. Heights abstain.
4 abstains.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 abstains. $18. Yes. All right, thank you, everyone. The motion passes. We're gonna move on to our agenda items, and I'm inviting Kate Callan from the OB RAG to come up and give us a little information that I think will be good for all planning groups.
I'll be very quick. I'm here to present an idea to you for your consideration that could raise the visibility of planning groups in the work that you do. The OB RAG and also the San Diego Community Coalition, that's where this idea came from, would like to do a series of news articles about planning groups working in their communities. Each article would focus on one planning group dealing with one big issue, front burner issue. And what I've heard tonight, any one of them would have been a story. Things like a bonus ADU complex, 15 units, that was in the pipeline and suddenly it's going up on a residential street. A rec center that is falling apart, the money was there, but it never got delivered. The neighbor from hell who's turned his house into a drug emporium and nothing happens to stop him. If you contact me, I can give you my email address and tell me what's going on in your community. We can sit down, I can interview you, and we'll just treat it like a regular news story. The other option would be for you to write a commentary in your own voice. And Rob Campbell has done that very well in several times. I think Eric, you have as well. So you can write a commentary or we can write the story about you. Frank Gormley, Paul Kruger and I are co-founders of the Community Coalition. We've all served on planning boards in our communities. And we are so determined that the planning groups in the city are finally going to get the recognition they deserve and the support they deserve. And one way to do that is to make people aware of just what you do in the community. How people come to you with their concerns, how you go to City Hall to get things done, how you negotiate, how groups are getting together, which is phenomenal. If you have any ideas about this, if you have any questions, I'd like to hear them now, or we can just, I can just give you my email address and you can email me.
So how often do you want to put this forward?
Ideally, I'd like to get 4 or 5 of these stories on file, maybe in the next month or 2. And then we start doing them every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
They're not hard to produce. All I need is to interview 1 or 2 people, take pictures, get the facts together, and then we can just start working on it. And then I would check with people, facts, quotes, things like that to make sure, because we want to get it right. We don't want you to be unhappy with the story. But these are stories that are going to make it very clear to the people who read them that the planning groups are working hard, are doing ingenious work, are finding solutions, and are making things happen. So any questions?
Are you ready for a fire hose?
Yes, yes. We've been talking about this for a while. We are so frustrated. I mean, Victoria and I are gonna be at the rules committee tomorrow. They've got this 12-page staff report saying how all these great things the city's gonna do to connect with communities. Planning groups are barely mentioned. It's like you don't exist, and that's outrageous. So, you know, outrage very often gets people to write news stories that people pay attention to, and that's what we're gonna try to do. My email address is kate@KateCallen, KateCallen.com. I will respond to every email I get. Some stories will be fairly easy to write. Some are gonna be complicated, like the one that David and Paul just described. That doesn't mean we can't do it, we just have to work a little hard. But an array of things, like whatever problem your community is challenged by, please tell us about it and we will write it up. Thank you for the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Hi, Kate, Navajo. I just want to confirm that email was kate@callan.com.
No, I'll spell it out. It's Kate, Kate, at KATECALLEN.com.
Got it, thanks.
I just wanted to tell you that I follow your website regularly and I think you do great reporting. Thank you.
I'll tell Frank, please. This
I agree.
is really Frank's baby. I mean, Frank, he just threw a party for the 50th anniversary of the OB planning group. I mean, he is committed completely. So, thanks for the time and thanks for your attention.
And thank you, Kate. She mentioned we're gonna be there at Rules Committee tomorrow. Yeah, I try to write my comments. Again, this is a point where we can bring up a seat at the head table, which CPC's already agreed about, that we would like a seat at the table. And I did go through the report, and planning groups are mentioned on a 12-page report, single space. We're mentioned 4 times. And we're mentioned alongside of other community groups as not as advisory bodies, but just as places they go to present to communities. So we need to get the change back into being advisory bodies and us having this.
Did that report mention that we are elected versus the self-appointed groups out there?
No, it doesn't talk about us. It just mentions us 4 times.
The difference between us and other groups is that we get elected by our communities and lots of other groups are just self-appointed groups. They have a role, but there's a role for elected groups as well.
This is unnecessary, I'll make it fast, but I have to say, this is why we fight land development code battles, because 624, when they wrote CPGs out of the municipal code, was a really ugly time. That's why we are where we are now.
Yeah, we want to come back. We want to get pressure from the communities to bring us back as advisory bodies. So do we can. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that. And Frank and Paul. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next one. So we've got Paul Coogan here that's got a couple things to share with us. And we do the first one is gonna be a community garden. Are you sharing that? Where are we putting this? Are you sharing this?
There should be a PDF that has the slides in it.
You don't have that? You sent it in an email.
Email to me.
Did you send it to?
You should be correct.
You should do. Okay. We'll take a second and find that.
While you're loading that, why don't I just take a quick call around the room? Do we have any gardeners in the room? Anybody grow tomatoes?
I like gardening.
I kill plants.
And you're in my classification, which is, I have instructions not to touch the plants, but I can do the bureaucracy. So that's a little background on my role in putting up a community garden is the project management, reading municipal code, interpreting that into actionable items, and then try to get some enthusiasm around the community. So we have a bit of a journey. Did you get it?
So you just have to share it.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's the one.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, it's a 3-year quick win.
Sure.
We've been at it for a while, so the second slide here. And they'll be kind of like scroll down to have. Yeah.
Okay, he's got to share it to the Zoom.
Right.
You're good at this.
All
right.
Next time is on technology, we're gonna get you up here. Okay, so Whitehead Community Garden, there's a laundry list of reasons why, and they map into a lot of different things. And I was surprised at how many organizations came out of the woodwork to say, yeah, community gardens are important to us. CalFresh through the county and the state. There's the San Diego Master Gardeners out of UC San Diego. They're a resource for promoting people in the neighborhood that had specific expertise, whether it was in plants or community organization. It seemed like community garden kind of was intersectional with both the city's goals and the goals of the community. So and so on. In fact, this decrease in vandalism was called out specifically by Shawnee Rivera, activating the space, making the community safer. What we lost was the Vera House Community Garden. It was established in 1992 on private land, and of course, private land is always risky because eventually someone dies, property gets sold. The community was then, I'll say, not outraged, but activated. So this is an opportunity. Whenever everybody's upset, it's an opportunity to come in and do something. So their initial attempt was a petition to say, let's buy the property, but it was already in escrow, and that's kind of a long shot or a Hail Mary. But it does show that 1,300 people out of a community were interested in a community garden. And so that's one of the things that is a key point when going to the city and saying, you know, the community wants a community garden. And that can start a conversation. We already have the signatures on file. And let's see. So our first attempt was to take this oddball space where Mountain View Drive used to swing around and was just a big wide boulevard. And then that was deemed as dangerous because cars started colliding. So the city straightened that out and put a stop sign here and left this double sidewalk space with this awkward ROW, these really huge front yards. And we got an email from Caltrans saying that they had a Clean California grant that we could apply for. So we looked through that, found that we could, based on local SES, we could have a 50% funding, which meant that if we got someone to pony up the other half, whether it was the community or a business, we could apply for the grant. So a local realtor said, yeah, I'm in. In fact, it was the realtor who sold the property. So he wanted to get some good marketing out there. And so he would pledge half the funds. It wasn't awarded, but we did go through a lot of city processes in that. It was a learning process. We found that we needed the permission of these property owners because their parcel goes to the center of the street and they would have to do an ROW vacation in order for us to come onto the property before the permit process could even start. One owner said no, and that was the end of that. So let's go to the next one is. So now it's the search for dirt. Very rare to find open dirt in an infilled mid-city community. An empty lot, they're rare, and they're valuable. So this space was already at the back of the Ward Canyon neighborhood park across the canyon. It's kind of a little isolated area along 40th Street. This would be the I-15 down on the right side. And this 40th Street actually dead ends down here to keep people from cutting through as a frontage road. And this space was slated as a community garden in the park master plan, but it had never come to fruition. They used it as a temporary dog park. Neighbors complained about dirt and noise, so they shut that down. Then again, it became fallow. We'll go ahead and take the next slide here. So we talked to Parks and Rec, and their first statement was, well, we're in the process of hiring a consultant to do the landscape design and bring the community garden in as per the master plan. Of course, we have heard that we're planning or we're studying, or we've hired a consultant many times over the decades. And so we approached them with the idea of having us do it and save them time and money. And they got interested. And so at that point, they agreed that they would review our submission, our application, and then we had a lot of meetings. Let's go ahead and take, this is the space when we discovered it. So it's completely weed filled. It's got invasive fan palms. It's got a dead tree over here. This tree's been retained. The tree at the back here was trimmed back. It has an existing bench and pergola. and then this double gated area that's designed for a dog park. But it's an enormous space. It housed 2 lots, so it ends up being 10,000 square feet. Let's see. So the reviews, working with the city, we had to talk to Parks and Rec for the area. And then they brought in an in-house landscape architect and the managers for the area. And, you know, the first meetings, there was a lot of extra people from the city side there looking for professionalism on our side. They don't want to commit their time and resources unless they know you're serious people. Eventually, we started getting director of Parks and Rec involved. City real estate was involved lightly in terms of figuring out whether we would have a ground lease or a conditional use permit. DSD came back and said that it would be a conditional use permit. So this site plan ended up being sort of the heart of the project. Every discussion and meeting kind of centered around this plan. Fortunately, I had access to the software to pull this together. It's just some Visio basic drawing software. Some of the changes that they made, well, the overview is that, like you saw in the aerial photograph, the park is up here. This is a ravine. There's an alleyway that comes here and dead ends. This is 40th Street with the I-15. And then this area, they said would eventually become parking under a parks master plan that would sort of reshuffle the street and the area. So they said, don't put any structures or trees or something that you might want to lose when we do the revision. And they're going to pull that fence back in. And at that point, they're going to redo the fence and they'll put our access gate at the back. They also recommended placing bulk items at the back here off the alley. So this access gate coming in later would give us access to the backside of the property rather than bringing things in from the front. They recommended putting the compost at the center so it would be more ADA accessible and also farther away from any residences in case there's smell or flies or anything like that. And then we laid out our plots or raised beds along the south side using this straight shot ADA compliant DG pathway. And then several raised boxes would be actually up against the fence. So the fence would actually create sort of back support for those boxes. The lot is large enough that we decided to have a native pollinator garden here. We call it pollinator garden on the map because under the community garden guidelines, they prefer a pollinator garden that supports the community garden growing things as opposed to a native plant area. So we just relabeled that and the city was happy, but it will be native plants. We also considered that the dog park that is next to it has an access gate for the vehicles. This is the only vehicle entrance for that other space. So we will make sure that we have sort of a Jeep trail that will allow Parks and Rec access to their own space up there. Last thing is this whole lot is dry. We found a water meter in the alley and one on the property, but they were dead. And so we had to have water brought in from the park on a sub meter, and the park will bill us for the water, but not the service. So in the long term, it makes the water less expensive, but just dropping the line from Lower Park to this point cost us $25,000. And that's with the city installing it. If we had a private contractor installed and did the permits and then pay the contractor and bought all the parts, it would have come out to $20,000. So for the extra $5,000, we shaved 6-9 months off the schedule. That's been paid for in part by the matching funds that I mentioned earlier. And that same person also put up a $20,000 3-year interest-free loan for the remainder because they said they wanted it done sooner rather than later. And that really helps us in terms of, trying to get that cart before the horse. If you want to have enthusiasm from the community, you got to show some progress on the site, but progress on the site costs money that you need donations for. So it's a little bit tricky doing the fundraising at the same time as you're doing the bill. I guess any questions before I move off the map? Yes.
Early on, you mentioned that the 50% grant was SCS or SES. What does SCS or SES stand for?
Social economic status.
Okay.
So that is per census data.
Okay.
So
And my second question was, the interior pathways of ADA compliance, is that a nice to have or a must have?
I wouldn't call it a must have because once you're on city property, they're very concerned about having that. But it also is in alignment with the mission of the garden itself to be accessible to all. So there's actually a lot of reasons to have ADA compliant pathways beyond wheeled mobility. So you get seniors, walkers shuffling, kids running. There's just a better overall design. I think it's expensive. It's our two big line items are the water and the paths. But I think at the end of the day, it'll be worth it.
Got Kevin Sullivan online. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Paul, for this. I lived in that area for 20, 30 years, right next to that park. And, so when you talk about activating the space, getting rid of the drug users on 40th Street and, getting more people in there and cutting down on that kind of thing, I think it's terrific. I really appreciate the work you guys have done on this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And if you go to normalheightscpg.org, you'll find a link at the top of the page for the community garden. Halfway down that page is a PayPal link.
Stu has a question for you.
Okay.
How'd you determine how many plots to put in there?
That was pretty much deciding that the plot would be 4 foot by 8 foot, and then just playing around in the drawing application, dragging and dropping. Just kind of like.
But before you do the process, you try to determine how many people will want a plot and decide where to go with it.
Early on, that was not a concern because I think the Bayside Community Garden has like a 2-year waiting list. Most community gardens have a long waiting list. We figured if we put in 32 plots, we'll sell out immediately. And at this point, I'm actually looking at the reserve CIP space because we could garden that up until the point that they decide to come in. So we may actually be adding in another 10 beds.
I was sort of waiting to ask, but then how involved were you in the Bayside Community Garden in London Vista? Because they follow essentially the exact same plan.
Just went to a SD Master Gardeners class there and gave the tour I highly recommend it if you can stop by Bayside. They've actually assembled instructions and guides and saved me a lot of work because I was thinking this is kind of a recipe, but Bayside Community Garden has already done all the work. So there'll be links in the presentation.
All right, what will be the methodology for deciding who gets the plots initially?
That'll be the garden board that we've established. So I'll get into that in a second. Yes.
And for the landscaping aspect, would you be needing that kept? Are you looking for somebody to curate the landscaping area and keep everything nice and trim and stuff like that?
That would be part of the board was set up that gardeners will have to take a class, they'll have to participate in maintenance of common areas. And there will also be a garden manager who will be managing all of the sort of boots on the ground in managing the people and the land. And then they in turn report to the board of directors who reports to the city. Let's go ahead and go to the next. So in the process of getting cooperation, this whole sequence is a lot of getting. What worked was preparing and sending all the documents that the city wants in advance of every meeting. So if we're gonna talk about did we have permission or acknowledgement by the community right away, we know we're gonna go into that meeting and we have X number of signatures, we've talked to everyone within 500 feet of the property and have that petition ready. We've got that site plan ready, letters of support are already on file. So just showing up and making their work or their job easier goes a long way. And next is. Before you do, these are our main sponsors. So Normal Heights Community Planning Group is the city representation because we are a chartered entity. However, we're not a 501c3, so there's things that we can't do like raise funds, ask for tax deductible donations, purchase insurance. All of that takes forming an actual corporation. So Normal Heights for Smart Growth acted as the 501c3 entity in order to start collecting tax deductible donations. And then their leadership put together what the garden board would be and spun up a new 501c3 specific for the garden. So this group also has a lot of touch points within the community, social media presence, email newsletter, and so on. The Selby team is the local realtor. So John Selby has been all in on this project, and so that's been just immeasurable because beyond the money fronting, he's also, he's shown up and moved wheelbarrows. So big shout out to the Selby team. So people get involved for a lot of different reasons. I want to grow my own food. That's not me. I'll just go to the grocery store. My house looks onto the space. We have the neighbors. They didn't want that loud, dirty dog park there. But they also don't want homeless people coming onto the property. So they're motivated. Some people just need access to dirt and exercise. So I think I fall in that category. Business would like to do community service, Selby team, also Bika Cafe on Adams. They're in for their social media presence. They do a lot of work that way, and they'll be hosting some of our event fundraisers that involve food and drink. My city department has metrics. That's huge. Park points are needed by the city. So this space, when it's under lock and key, should technically be subtracted from acreage that counts toward park points. Activated, they get both the acreage and the points for the community garden. So that creates a big interest with Parks and Rec. And also even D9 office and community outreach and all of that. We have we have a school right next to the community garden. So there's a lot of people who are like, hey, we should get that path opened up between the school and the garden, which is overgrown and fenced off. I like organizing people. Looks like a room full of those. I want to meet people, also a room full of those. But you gotta use the motives cautiously. You don't want to be extractive with people in terms of their resources and time. So it does take some sensitivity. And also evaluate their skills and ability. A lot of people get really enthused. They want to step in, they want to be the board president, and then they find out that they don't have time for it. And then it's very time consuming to backfill that person. Or we've had someone who said, I had access to all these grants. I can bring you all this money. And it was just kind of in their head. So we've been very careful about evaluating people in terms of their ability and commitment. And I think we'll have a little bit more on that further on. Getting permission. Oh my God. We originally thought it would be a ground lease from city real estate, and that's where the discussion really went to a special use permit, and then it became a conditional use permit. And I'm not really sure the difference between the special and the conditional, but the conditional use permit, once it's reviewed by legal and then we have the general liability insurance and it's all signed off that contract with the city, gives us access to come onto the site and gardeners come in and work the land, because they know that they're covered for liability. The CUP is initially issued for 3 years, with a renewal. So every 3 years we would come up for renewal. It's $150 a year for the permit itself. It's not unlike a little league. You're coming onto a city park and they want to make sure they're not going to get sued. This process for the CUP takes so long that we asked for access early, and we can only come onto the land supervised by parks, which then we had to avoid overtime at staff. So now they're working on getting us a right of entry, which will allow us to build the garden, and then we'll get the CUP to actually bring the gardeners in. The complaints must have the ADA pathways. A community garden group, they want to have some education component, and so they said in the city documents will say there should be a garden club. And that'll be one of the things that the manager will run. Yes.
I got a question. Did you look into getting an easement, like a horticultural easement to work the property?
No, I think because where we are is actually defined as city park property. So we're actually asking to access a portion of the park as if it was a ball field for a little league.
Or you could ask to access it for horticultural reasons. That's just a thought.
Yeah, that definitely an approach. And, you know, discussing that with the city, especially the council office. I think their community outreach people are really good at sort of directing us to the right people. They don't have the answers, but they can get you connected. The general liability insurance is a fairly large amount cost. We're going to pay $1047 for that. So that goes into the bed fees. This council policy community notification, that's the 500-foot petition space. And then there's a legal review for all permits, and the city attorney's office has a 30 business day turnaround. So even at this point, our ROE has just been submitted by Parks and Recreation to legal, but that means that we're going to have a 1.5 month wait period while they stamp it approved or ask for changes. Compliance maybes, depends on where you're building. If you're not on city land, then there's going to be a different route. It may involve sequel segment. Okay. Getting resources, grants are, I'm new to the grant process, and it's brutal. You work for days putting together the documentation and getting your package submitted, and then you have to wait for 2 months to not hear anything and then know that you didn't get it. So it's kind of like doing a job application. But there are a lot of sources for grants, and we're just finding those. We got very lucky that a grant writer from Seattle had just moved to Normal Heights, Googled us, and then called us to ask how they could be involved. And she has since written 3 grants for us. And we have on the Normal Heights for Smart Growth Board, we have 2 PhDs that are used to submitting grants continually in their academic life. So we have a very strong grant submission engine, but we have yet to secure a grant. Donations are pretty limited. There's the well, you know where it is, the La Jolla Shores Nature Trail that goes along the Coast Trail. Well funded. Donors are typically in the thousands of dollars, and they get nice little plaques. Our community are more like donors in the tens of dollars and occasionally in the hundreds. So we do have to take that into account, and we'll be doing a build out as we can. We'll get the water has been installed. The paths are next, and those are kind of the 2 must-haves for opening, along with getting the permit and permissions. But the rest, like raised beds and shade structures and plants, we will do it like Normal Heights normally does, which is a very DIY kind of down home approach. We won't have the beds over at Bayside are very pretty. Events seems to be where we're headed in terms of raising money and building community enthusiasm. The few events that we've had where people come out and do work, they're very enthusiastic. They'll move mulch and heft wheelbarrows and have a great time. So we're going to keep going on that direction and leverage everything. Time, materials, labor, expertise, it'll all come out of the woodwork as you start going. Case in point, our grant writer. And also partner with as many organizations as possible. That was a learning curve for me. I was surprised at how many programs the county has and how many organizations like AARP are very interested in community gardens. Yes.
And I would add the American Society of Landscape Architects regularly puts out grant requests or offers.
Yes, universities, and you name it. If there's an organization out there, there's usually some aspect that's connected to land, outdoors, exercise, community, all of that. And the momentum, keeping it going is going to be very difficult because you have these long cycles with the city where they have to do a permit review or they have to get Parks and Rec involved, and it's weeks. And meantime, the community is looking at weekly cycles or monthly cycles. So it's important to keep them updated with, here's what we're doing on the backside and underground, and we just put in this pipe, isn't it great? That kind of thing. And talk to everyone. You'd be surprised where it comes out.
There are many local garden clubs that are a source of funds. I would suggest you contact them. I would start with the Rancho Santa Fe Garden Club. And then go to La Jolla Village Garden Club. But there's probably 20, 30 garden clubs. I helped establish the Paradise Hills Native Garden, and we got funding from all those sources.
Excellent, because we are thinking of, this is called the Normal Heights Community Garden, but we're going to be servicing out into City Heights, eastern area, most of the mid cities. But it's not unreasonable to think that people would come from areas even further out if they have access to a community garden.
I think you'll find a lot of support throughout the county for this effort.
Excellent. Yes.
How many grants have you ended up getting?
We have not gotten any.
Oh.
We've gotten donations, and we've got the pledge to money from our realtor was spent towards the water, and then the loan was spent towards the water. And a woman who is on the board, she's sort of the president of the community garden board, paid for the first year of insurance out of her pocket. So at this point, we still have 900 and something in the bank, but the garden paths are going to run around 15,000.
Okay, so the grants, you're applying to grants still?
Yeah, we are continuing to apply for grants.
Early in your presentation, you mentioned this was acknowledged as a community garden space in one of the plans. What do you remember? Can you remind me what plan that was?
The Parks Master Plan, specifically the master plan for Ward Canyon Neighborhood Park.
You raised the concern about CEQA, and in the past, the city appropriately has determined that environmental review would have been appropriately done during that plan consideration. And I specifically include the Hill Park, the East Mesa precise plan as the restoration of grotto. So that was able to proceed under the existing environmental documents. And I think
that's a good point. One of the criteria for the garden is that we don't change the grade. It has a nice gentle slope towards the canyon, but they don't want to have additional runoff into that canyon, probably for that very reason.
But just it's consistent with the parameters of the adopted plan, probably would be hopefully would be considered to be CEQA compliant.
I see. So we're riding their coattails.
Yeah.
Good. So, sure, Victoria. Sorry, you're on.
That's all right. You might contact William at the college. Because they have a wonderful garden landscaping program there and they have interns that might be able to help you.
No, yes.
San Diego Floral Association, the application is the deadline is July 31st. And they're announcing the grant, either September or October, so that's coming up pretty soon, so that'll be a good grant to.
Good. And that we keep all of our, as we do each grant, we get more material that we can cut and paste. Yeah. Yes.
So I've been to the A bar, needed, Hollywood in National City, and another one in South Bay. It sounds like the structure of this one similar to the one in South Bay because of the leasing clause. But is that correct? So
yes.
The structure of this, is this a business entity, nonprofit that's leasing from the city land?
Yes,
Paying for like a business permit. I'm kind of leaning for the
Sure.
bid partnership.
Okay.
Okay.
So the Normal Heights Community Garden 501c3 is the nonprofit corporation that will run the community garden. They in turn are obtaining access to city land via a conditional use permit. So as part of that process, the corporation will raise funds, purchase liability insurance, apply for a permit, and then fulfill the obligations of the permit, which include an annual report to the city on its usage and, what are they getting out of it. But all of this is happening under a sort of a nonprofit arena.
I'm not sure in that structure if that nonprofit entity ends up paying into a business permit. Like typical mom storefront retailers that pay into like a portion of their fee goes towards the business improvement district fund. Because if it does, then this is something that I think would be a great partnership where they bid, your local bid.
Oh, I see.
Within the bid boundary.
The permit fee is very low, so I believe it just covers their administrative overhead on the issuance. It's only $150 a year. So I think they're just covering their own costs for administration. In fact, I don't think that there is a business aspect to it because one of the conditions of the access is that we're not selling anything on site. So can't consume alcohol, can't sell anything. And of course, limitations on signage, because I'd like to have, just completely brand the place.
Are you going to allow for like events to be able to rent out the space maybe?
I don't believe we can rent the space, although we are technically doing that for the bed rentals, but that's called out as a very specific line item that we would be collecting fees for access to the beds through a membership program. There has been some discussion of doing some flat farming, where we'd actually grow produce that could be sold to local businesses, and then that would help underwrite the costs. We can do that, but we can't sell that produce on site. We have to harvest it and then actually deliver and collect off site.
Thank you.
It sounds like you may be beyond this point, but San Diego Master Gardeners used to, and then still have a manual that provides a lot of design specifications, including for accessibility. And I work with school gardens, and that's the orientation of that program that was very helpful.
Yes.
It's called Plant a Garden, Watch It Grow. And so it's just, a lot of things you have, instead of figuring them out, they basically inspect them for.
So Normal Heights for Smart Growth brought in San Diego Master Gardeners, and they in turn provided us free expertise for designing ADA pathways. This is the same fellow that did Bayside Community
I
Garden.
just said, these are things that you don't need to design because it's essentially a template that it facilitates a shorter design process Not that they can't create from whole cloth, but I think.
They did review our plan and make some recommendations, especially in terms of the irrigation land.
I'm curious, on the CUP, as you said, it's a 3-year. Was there discussion with the city of like, can we get a longer CUP? Because I know that after waiting for a decade or longer, you'd hate to have this go 3 years and the city say, yeah, we want to go a different direction.
We did ask. He's like, we have a 5, and they said, no, 3.
So that's similar to like the Little League CUPs and everything else. They just keep these much shorter than like a business CUP, which can go 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was almost designed to fit within the cycle of administration. So, you have administrative turnover, and then they want to make sure everything's kind of inside those. Yeah, I think there's one more slide. Oh, okay, this is where we are now. So this is the map that we use on the website to show the process, because a lot of this is behind the scenes, and we want to keep the community understanding that, site identification, fundraising, the site plan, engagement with the city, site prep, they can get involved with. That's weeding, basically. And then there's more. There's a plumbing plan, and install the plumbing. That took a long time. And then assembling the governing board, and then applying for the insurance and the permit, and then finally receiving a conditional use permit, which then can lead to setting up the rules and fee schedule, preparing the soil and irrigation and pathways. So that's a lot of actual build out. That's very exciting for the community. And then the selection of the manager and the gardeners. That's the one that everybody's waiting for, that waiting list. And then we'll have the opening ceremony, which will be a great photo op, and everybody gets to do some ribbon cutting and turn on the water. Very exciting. I think that's the last one, right?
Well, thank you, Paul.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That was great. And before we move on to the next agenda item, which Paul is also going to talk to us about, which is the CPG technology landscape info. So most of it, that we have the sdcpc.org website. And Paul is actually the one that originally set that all up, and then he just turned it over to me. So I've been running it. So that tells you that technology is, I will say that Google, and in fact, it's called Google Web, Google Web.
Google Sites.
Google Sites has made it very easy in comparison to what these used to be years ago. So I'm encouraging any CPG that has anybody that is even sort of technically savvy or likes computers or what have you. They can do this. This is not that difficult. So I really appreciate that Paul's going to give us a little bit of knowledge of how to set this up. I think he goes into it more than I've done with the CPC site, but it's amazing what you can house out there and organize, and it's very simplistic. How many of you gone to the CPC SD website? And is it pretty easy to navigate and find things? So having this for your CPGs, I think is very important because it can, you can refer people to that site to look at your meeting minutes, to look at your agendas, to look at these presentation that Paul's, put out here, I will have on the CPC site. And if you go, I just added presentations as a page, and you literally go and they're just in date order, and you see a little clip of each one of them, and you can see every single presentation that's been here. And I plan to have 1 year's worth of CPC presentations. So when somebody comes and says, hey, Marlon, can we get the city's report on the general fee update? It's out there. So I get, as soon as it's done being presented here within the next couple of days, I throw it up onto the website. So we don't have to email it to 15 people that wanted to get it. I can just send you right to the site. And the more people use it, the more, you won't have to keep emailing people and telling them, because it'll be there and they'll see it. So I'm going to turn it back over to Paul to talk about.
Sure. Let's get into that. So.
I like that, free as in deer.
You're San Diego.
That's right.
So there is a base requirement. So in any kind of technology, always start with the question, what are we trying to solve? Are we trying to be compliant? Are we trying to make money? Are we trying to save money? What are we trying to do? And the Brown Act really defines our requirements up front, and it's very simple. If you want to have teleconference meetings, they're optional and allowed. Optional is the key word here. You don't have to do it that way. And public records must be retained, and electronic storage is not mandated. So if you want to not have a hybrid meeting or a Zoom meeting, and you want to keep typing your notes and putting them into folders, perfectly acceptable. That is an acceptable technology. So I'm not here as a technology evangelist. Here's a technology realist. So let's take a look at what we can do. The technology drivers for NHCPG were to have a method of storing documents that are publicly accessible, so we don't have to be bothered to some tug on our sleeve and ask us for a presentation. And then also pushing communication out to the community in order to get their involvement, because attendance is always a struggle. So in the solution space, which just means dividing up the different areas where the technology is happening, there's meeting support, what we're doing right now with an OWL. There's record storage, the meeting's now being recorded in Zoom. Passive communication, we're going to host the video that's being recorded in Zoom on a website. And then the push communications is sending out the agenda and email. Fairly basic. For the meeting, we typically have a projector in the room and a screen. And here we have a screen that's being used and shared into the Zoom session. So everybody in the room and everybody on Zoom can see the same thing. And then this Owl Labs video conference speaker is kind of like that's our fancy bells and whistles. There's other ways to do it. You could even just have your cell phone as one of the attendees, and that's the camera. A laptop, internet connectivity. Got to think of all the pieces and parts. It's not enough to just have the owl. You got to actually connect it to something. And then the Zoom Pro account is really critical. It's $16 a month, well worth it, because it comes with a waiting room. So when the attendees come in, you can control when they enter, and you can boot people out if you need to. And also the host has mute controls, and the Pro account allows you to have a meeting longer than 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your meeting could be hours long if you want. And then printing of a sign-in sheet and courtesy agendas is also nice to have in the room. I try to keep that to a minimum, just, not to waste the paper. And record storage, Google Drive is free for 5 gigs of storage. That's actually quite a bit until you start trying to put video in there, which is why we'll use YouTube to store video, because they'll give you unlimited space for all of your videos. So then Google Drive just basically starts to become PDF, docs, really small. You fit a lot in there. If you do run out of space, you can get up to 4 accounts on one phone number. We use Google Groups. This was established before I even came on the board, but Google Groups allows us to have a list. So if we send an email out, we know that it's going out to all the board members on the group, and it's also being recorded in the Google Groups website. So if anybody ever said, I want to do discovery on your group because we don't think you're Brown Act compliant, we don't just give them a link and they can go sift those documents themselves and find out that we didn't collude. So I would highly recommend Google Groups, if nothing else. Web hosting, you don't have to have a domain. Being able to go to normalheightcpg.org, that's nice. But the way people go to things, search for them, they come up as links in Google, they click on it, they bookmark it. Even if it just says Normal Heights Community Planning Group.sites.google.com, nobody cares. So that's $14 a year just to have the little vanity plate, if you will. We're using WordPress, but that's because I have clients that will pay for the hosting services, so that's free for me. Google Sites is totally free. It's basically just a file within Google Drive, and then once it's made public, it becomes a website. And you can have as many websites and pages and so on that you want. And it's very easy to use, as Victoria was saying, so just drag and drop, drag in pictures, links, whatever you want. And then if you do get a domain, you can have email addresses that are usually included in the hosting, although these days you have to be careful. Some hosting companies will give you the website and then they'll charge you extra for the email. If you go to like HostGator or one of the big providers, you'll get the whole package. You'll get WordPress, you'll get all your email, you'll get a control panel, all that, usually for around $15 a month. I wouldn't pay any more than that. YouTube, unlimited free storage. And those videos can be embedded in websites. Granted, if somebody's viewing it and they don't have a YouTube account, they're gonna see an ad at the beginning. But so email lists, this is a tricky one because once you start sending out email even from your personal account to more than say 100 people, that email is going to get shut off. And if you send out a lot of email from your domain, your whole domain could get shut down as a spam origin. So if you have only a few, like let's say less than 500 on your list, MailChimp has a free account, but as soon as you hit a certain level, then you have to pay additional costs and it starts to hockey stick after a while. So if you get up to 1,000 on your mailing list, it's not economical. There's other solutions out there that are more economical. And if you get to that point, come talk to me. But obtaining and managing the list is time consuming. Our base list was collected by the NHCPG over numerous years and has about 400 in it. Normal Heights for Smart Growth did a big postcard campaign with Shoe Leather walking the neighborhood to get signups, and we got to 1,000, which is pretty good for the neighborhood. But maintaining that list and keeping those people active, because people change their email address. We don't get a lot of unsubscribes, but we do get a fair number of, every newsletter that goes out ends up with 4 or 5 bounces. And those have to be pulled out because if you send repeatedly to bounced email addresses, again, you get black hole. So there's a lot of rules regarding email lists. But if you want more detail, just talk to me. And printing. Usually somebody has an office somewhere that can print. Our community center has a printer. That's not that difficult, but for things like flyers and postcards and business cards, I've gone to Canva and it's really simple, drag and drop and make a nice looking card. So we have business cards that have the NHCPG logo on it and it has the date and time and hey, come join us. And then on the back side, it has, contact information. And that's real handy for the board members when they're out in the community to just hand out a card. It's a lot easier than say like carrying around a bunch of flyers with you. So this is the overall flow of the, here we are today, we're in this room. We have an owl lab, owl that's collecting the room audio and visuals, and it's recording it to Zoom meeting. And the community is attending on Zoom as well. When this is all done, Zoom will have the video on their website. At that point, I'll be downloading it and then uploading it to YouTube. And I might trim off some of the noise at the beginning or end. And then that YouTube video can then be embedded on, in NHCPG's case, on a WordPress website. In the case of CPC, it'll go onto the Google site. And then again, this is our documents. So that would be the agenda and minutes. And those can again get embedded on your website. And then here's our communication piece. You'll see that Google Groups isn't really integrated with anything, but it does sit on the storage layer. And then in the communication layer, we have WordPress site. that is, or your website is passive communication. People have to come to it. So it's not a really good communication tool and to say, hey, come to the meeting. But if you send them a link and you engage them, they can come here for reference information. It's really the emails that go out to the group that says, hey, we're happening now, or social media even, to say, come in and partake. And this is the hosting layer. In our case, we started with AWS. We can eliminate that. We consolidated it over here with DreamHost, which is like HostGator or any of those website suppliers. Our costs. The laptop I bring myself, the projector was supplied by the community center, and then when it died, I brought one in. And then we actually did a purchase of the OWL using city funds and partnered with AABA to provide 1/3 of the total cost. So we paid 600 and the AABA paid another 300 to bring that device in. And in our recurring costs mainly is the Zoom gets billed out to the city against our annual budget. And then our printing and domain name are donated. And all these services are free, as in beer.
Your Zoom, that's the 420 built in the city. Why is that 420?
That's $16 a month. It shouldn't be 420.
It's 169 or something. I'm re-upping on Jill and
There we go.
July. So it's under.
It's 160.
Yeah, 160, 170.
So our recurring costs are really down around 200. But a lot of that's donated too.
And the OWL, so Scripps Ranch has just gotten approved to do virtual. So one thing you do have to do, if it's not in your current operating procedures, you do have to write it into your operating procedures. We didn't have it. So we sent it to Marlon. He gave us this is the language the city would like to see. And then we approved it with our board and then sent it back to Marlon. He got it to the city attorney very quickly. I mean,
the city attorney does get to look at it. Me as the mayor's designee gets to.
Oh, you get to do the proof. Oh, okay. No wonder you turned it around so fast.
Yeah.
And then got that approved. So now we're looking at buying an OWL. We're trying to find funding through our civic association and some other places. And a brand new OWL is about 2,000. So finding a refurbished or.
Yes, don't need the latest and
You
greatest.
don't. You can use a laptop. Yeah.
Yeah, the newest ones have a super high resolution, which really only works if you're in like a corporate environment with high bandwidth and all of that. So if you get the 1080p HD level, last year's model, refurbed on Amazon or possibly on eBay, although be careful on eBay, there's a lot of them that fell off the table and they have a cracked lid. Yeah, but I think the last one I got was off eBay for about 300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I think they just came out with a new one. So the one I was looking at was called 4+, but now there's a 500 out. So now start looking at the 4+, because it's already decreased in price.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, anything beyond like their version 1, 720 is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And this, we do basically the same thing. Well, you're more complex, you're better evolved. We're in your weight somewhere. Oh, we do have an owl. It did cost about 300. We do have a Zoom Pro account. We do use that. We don't have hard wiring, which complicates some things because we use a library and they've got this fob thing that we have to use. So the workaround for that is if anyone uses the library and they have this projector that drops from the ceiling that we can't get a cord up to because it's at 12 feet. Yeah, I'm not repelling. We have the presenters join the Zoom session, right? And they broadcast in the Zoom session.
Which is what Marlon's actually doing right now.
Yeah, and still Marlon's much better than I am, clearly. But it works. We get the recording, and the thing is it also a benefit, it shouldn't call it, but it is a benefit to my secretary is the AI transcription that they get. And so we get, you know, pages and pages, and my secretary, it doesn't take me as much anymore. But that's an added benefit, yeah.
True, the Zoom, AI note taking, I hate to use the word AI, it's LLM. It's pretty good at the transcription. Sometimes it can't identify the right speaker, but in general, they're good enough.
Yeah.
And our approach has been the secretary is taking basic notes, attendance, votes, and then a few line items, you know, at the high level, enough that if somebody goes, oh, I want to know more, they can go watch the video.
Thanks, this is really good. I've got some good ideas for this. We kind of went through the same thing recently we had, I kind of looked at all we were spending money on, we're definitely over $500. We consolidated a lot of things into Google. We're actually using Google Meet for the meetings. We have we have 2 paid Google accounts. We have like an elections email address and a chair email address. And I keep those so that the chair's up for election, they can't read the emails regarding the election. But one of the things that we do with the Google groups, I could show this at some point, is we set up like a comments group, which is comments at downtownplanningsd.org, and people can send, we have that on our agenda, people can send in an email, and then it shows up on the page that has all the comments that we've received. That anybody can see, the board members and the public. And then we set up the email list through Google Groups. So there's an email list. And so when we send out the agendas to the city or you know to our mailing list, it's all on there. People can unsubscribe, subscribe on their own. That's all through Google. So they don't want to sign up for like MailChimp or whatever to have another account. So kind of started with the thing is, can it be done in Google Groups or in Google, since we're already paying for that? And our 2 accounts are $16 a month, and with $15 a year posting. And we're doing Election Buddy for election, which is $100 per election. So that takes up a piece of our budget. But anyway, we just went to this thing like just Google, and I showed our board that and dropped WordPress, which was $150 or $200 a year. So I got everything on Google Sites is great. And I saw North Park, you kind of look at North Park and a couple there, I looked at a bunch of other ones that saw a lot of people were using the Google Sites, and you can't even tell. It's almost identical.
Yeah.
So,
it's a great idea using the Google Groups for public input, because our board internal list only accepts addresses that are on the list. That way there's no spam input. But that being said, we're communicating with the city and then copying the group, and they reply. Their reply doesn't go into the thread. So it gets a little tricky that way, but I do like this ability to collect public comment in advance.
Yeah.
And also being in a single ecosystem. So if you're in the Google environment, which includes YouTube, it just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, so one thing we don't do with our account doesn't allow us to record the meetings, so we just rely on the minutes for the meetings. We don't record at this point.
I think the number of people that have viewed videos in the last 2 years is probably 3. But it's there. When the question comes up, you want it. Yes.
I have a question. By any chance, do you have a template or strategy on how to bill directly to the city, or how does that work?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a Marlin.
Oh, yeah, there's a reimbursement form on our website. I can give you the location and everything like that. So you get about $500 every fiscal year, and you just go ahead and purchase it. It's a reimbursement kind of situation, so you have to put up the money up front, and the city will reimburse you.
Oh, just you.
Keep in mind, it's a fiscal year, because I submitted an invoice that spanned, the December, January, and a whole bunch of stuff on the tail end was eliminated. And it also takes a while for that check to arrive.
It's just plain and simple.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you said that you posted the video, the recording to YouTube.
Yes.
do you have any concerns about like people who are attending the meeting and speaking, whether or not they're consenting to being basically recorded and put up on the internet? That's what you thought of?
The opening of every meeting, has, and also the agenda says that the meeting will be recorded and posted publicly. So we have a reading of the rules at the opening of every session, 1 minute per person. And we conclude with no horses allowed.
And that's built standard because you have no expectation of privacy in a public. So you're already covered, but it's better to do that. Yeah.
We did the same thing. We announced it, although they openly acknowledged that we're subject to recording. We have people come in and record us all the time.
Well, Zoom even says it when you start the meeting,
Yeah.
recording in process, and anyone that logs in, it says recording in process to them.
It's actually kind of a joke at the beginning of one of our meetings, and when it announces it, everybody.
In my experience, at the Zoom meetings that I've participated in, they usually, you can opt out, and that means you opt out. You acknowledge it's being recorded, and it was part of the portal, you into some of them.
And we do, make it clear that the chat is not part of proceedings. So it's not, you can use the chat, but it's not official, and we're not monitoring it, we don't post it, we consider it crosstalk. It's the hallway conversation.
But on that same topic, I'm old school and I describe the same. Robert's Rules of Order, which is the city's specified default, suggests that the record should show what you did, not what you chatted about. And so a transcript and minutes can be very different, and that's what this Roberts
Yes.
recommends.
Yeah, actually.
And I do try to let our secretary, because we onboard a new secretary, to say minimal notes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. All right, moving right along, we're getting close to 8, so I'm gonna go to Marlon for a staff report.
Oh, Madam Chair, I do not have a report today.
Okay, that makes that simple. Okay, thank you. Chair's report, 2 things. Did everybody get that email from DSD saying they're switching and going to constant contact? Just wanna make sure you know that your CPG needs to be receiving constant contact or signed up for that if you're not, they said in it that they were taking their contact for your particular CPG and putting it on there, but if anybody else, receives it directly from DSD, you wanna make sure you got that in the constant contact. And then Parks and Rec, Vicky, Ranch Bernardo is our Parks and Rec volunteer that goes and attends the monthly meetings. She cannot do it this month. Actually, it's virtual. So if anybody interested in attending the Parks and Rec.
It's the Open Space Canyons Advisory Committee.
Open space. Okay, so we need a volunteer, since Vicky can't make it. And when is it, Vicky?
It is on, July 9th from 3:30 to 5. I haven't received an agenda yet, so sometimes they don't have the meetings, so I would let you know, but it would probably be good to have an alternate. I've been able to go. This is the only time I haven't been able to attend.
Okay, is anybody volunteer to maybe do that in her space in July 9th? You have your calendars. Otherwise, if you could email Vicky, or email me. Email me, you have the CPG's, Kevin. Yes, Kevin.
Yeah, I think one of our board members is interested in trying to become a member of that board anyway, so I'll ask them to see if they can attend.
That would be great. Yeah, Kevin can just give me a call. Yeah, we've been trying to get somebody added, additional member, because they need members, but the city hasn't really gotten back to us.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. So if you guys get in touch, if you need me to make any connections, let me know. I'll do that. I appreciate that. Okay. I don't think we have any ad hoc subcommittee reports. And what about CPC member comments? We're gonna end on that. Does anybody have any information, CPC members only? Anybody online? Okay, we'll go ahead.
Yeah,
Downtown.
so, just to kind of close the loop on the sound ordinance item. So it did go to city council, it was approved by city council. There was a memo that the, planning director sent out, that, Victoria sent out to everyone. I encourage people to take a look at it, and it provides more context, but I think it's something that could be used regarding, if it talks about all kinds of limits that are not in the ordinance, but, sounds like that they are saying, should be part of whatever kind of approvals, go along with it. So it was a big thing for sending a letter, so.
Well, how comfortable were you
Yeah.
with the reply?
I think I think it's good for, cause it's kind of like, it's interesting, cause the reply kind of says, this is all authority we already have. So that's, nothing changed, that there was no change in the ordinance. So for people who are, I think that was a concern, especially downtown. There's an ongoing lawsuit between the city and some residents downtown over the Gallagher Square noise. And this is kind of ammunition for them to bring to their lawsuit to say that the city has said that this did not really change the ordinance. So that's good for them. Or on the other side of the city, if it is changing something, they're kind of stuck because there's a CEQA approval that's required for that. So I think it's good that they gave some kind of guidance on it. I think that it's gonna be helpful for that particular year.
But it's not overall what we thought it was going into it. There was more attached to it than.
Yeah, and it's basically, it's saying that there's gonna be guardrails to it. So
Yeah.
I wasn't in the ordinance, but I think that's good that they said that, because as of it's something that's written now that goes along with the ordinance, that in terms of like, when things come up, it's like, oh, there's this memo that the planning director put together that, says that it doesn't give this broad discretion that, it seemed otherwise to do that.
Good. David, did you?
Marlon was very helpful a few months ago with advice on how the bylaws changes would be accomplished in the great world. Used to go through the attorney's office in Japan and so on, and he had to get the contact with them. But something that surprised me is there were changes in our bylaws that we were not informed of, and one of those was the name of our group. I mean, just tell us, And the most recent one, the word community was eliminated. It used to be Greater Golden Hill Community Planning Committee, then it became Greater Golden Hill Community Planning Group, and then it became Greater Golden Hill Planning Group. And so it was, I just.
This wasn't done through your.
Never heard about it. I found it on the site.
Are you just nicknaming us now?
No, you're looking at me like, just tell me what the actual name is and then.
Yeah, no, tell us to change it.
Oh.
I don't, it calls the zoological society, we get them super free. But, just to be nice to tell people and you're changing their
Well,
foundation.
but that's up to you. Your
Yeah,
name
we
is.
wouldn't.
No, it should be, but if it's not, in
Okay,
our brave new
Okay.
world again,
Uh,
if it's not, just let us know.
okay.
Because one of the bylaws changes that we needed to make, was already made, which is great, we didn't have to do anything. We had not altered the bylaws to acknowledge the new city policy that people could run for the board without any attendance.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we were following this procedure, but we clerically needed to update the bylaw. Well, it's been fixed, so,
Okay.
but then the name change was really a surprise to me.
Okay,
Hey, could you clarify your comments on the sound ordinance again? So the city, they just acknowledged receiving the letter, but they didn't pass anything, they didn't.
They passed, the city council passed the ordinance, but the city, the planning directors submitted a memo to the city council in advance of the meeting that provided like rebuttal to the letter, I guess, but like additional clarification. So that was sent out, but.
So I'm not sure what the ordinance is that they passed. Does it have any guardrails or?
No, the ordinance doesn't have any guardrail.
So this is not a good situation.
well. Yeah, I mean, yes, they say they have guardrails set into it, but yes, you're correct. They still pass the ordinance with the language that we saw, so.
Okay, thank you. Clarification.
Okay, any other comments? Yes, one more.
I'll advertise since I was last year as an alternate, the Affordable Housing Task Force of Lima Vista was starting its work on an ADU report, just looking at the effects of the reforms 1 year later. We're now in the midst of that report, so we're still happy to receive any comments from CPC members. Might not be able to get you in as a full guest speaker at one of our meetings, but we're happy to receive comments on analysis you might see in the report, looking at what effects have the reforms had on permitting, what structures are being built, character, so any questions you have or thoughts you have, comments you want to provide, we're happy to receive them, so you just talk.
Great. All right, thank you. All right, with that, we're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Oh, you can leave everything, as it is. We don't
All right, thanks. Good night, all.